Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Happy Saturday to everybody out there. Positive news, more development regarding RippleNet, which I believe will ultimately benefit XRP. Take a look at the headline today. Santander launching Ripple-powered payments in 6 new corridors. Banking giant not utilizing XRP. Okay, fine, not utilizing XRP yet. But this is going to be done through OnePayFX. I'll give a quick refresher of what that is for those that don't remember. And to be honest, it's been a while since I talked about OnePayFX, so I did a little refresher myself. You know, to me, I'm all about repetition, and there's so much news that happens every day, it's impossible to retain it all. I know, it's okay. I'm sure you're just like me. But I'm going to run through that, and then I've got an interesting story I'll share with you at the end of this from Daily Hodl. Binance CEO, race towards Bitcoin and crypto adoption underway. But before we get going any further, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you would, ever so delicately, please tap that like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. It's a small way that, you know, if you appreciate the content that I'm putting out here, it's a small way that you can help get my channel get more exposure to more people. I don't know exactly how the algorithm works. I think nobody does. I don't even know if the people that programmed the algorithm know how it works, but all I can say is that if you're willing to do that, it is really appreciated. I really appreciate all the support. And if you don't hate everything that's coming out of my mouth, go ahead and consider subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel. I assure you there are worse ways to spend your time. All right, so this story I got from XRP Crypto Wolf. Thank you very much for sending this directly to my inbox. And you know what I'm going to start with, though, before I jump into the main story, just because it's directly related, but we do need a little bit of a refresher here. So here's a story from July 14th of this year. I'll try and be brief with this part of it. Just I want to make sure we set the table so everybody's caught up to speed. And this was titled, Ripple Adoption Expands as Banking Giant Santander Launches New Payment Corridor. Love new payment corridors, right? Spanish banking giant Santander is adding a new payment corridor to OnePayFX, the company's Ripple-powered digital banking app. Indeed, Ripple-powered digital banking app. The app now supports payments between the UK and Poland. Ripple's Senior Vice President of Customer Success, which I always think is a weird title, but anyway, Marcus Treacher, touted the new addition, which allows Santander customers to move as much as €10,000 payday to and from the countries with zero transaction fees. And there's the tweet in reference on the screen right there. OnePayFX uses Ripple's payments messaging system xCurrent. Of course, now it's just known as RippleNet, broadly. Santander launched the app on iOS last year and says it now lets its customers send money to 19 countries, including the U.S. Santander Executive Chair Anna Boten told the Financial Times that by January of this year, Ripple's technology was already powering half of Santander's group's FX payments. Think about that. I had completely forgotten that, frankly, but half of their payments, right? And here's a quote. With this new initiative that is already in place, we're already covering 50% of all the FX payments that the Santander Group does annually. And it works really well because the rails that we're using, which, as you say, we've collaborated with Ripple, we've been testing those for 2 years, actually, with our own employees. And it works. It's safe, it's fully compliant, and obviously we've made sure we comply with all local regulations, so you're in safe hands. So that's cool. Now check this out. And so you might be wondering, okay, because look at the headline again. Santander launching Ripple-powered payments in 6 new corridors, banking giant not utilizing XRP. What? But what's this major Ripple partner doing, utilizing these corridors, new corridors, but not XRP? What is going on? Well, I'm going to tell you. Let me dive in. Spanish banking giant Santander says it will soon expand its use of Ripple's cross-border payments platform. At a recent conference held by the Institute of International and European Affairs, Managing Director of Digital Investment Banking at Santander, John Whalen, talked about the company's efforts in blockchain. He says the company will bring its Ripple-powered payments platform called OnePayFX to all 10 of its main corridors in the near future. And here's the money quote. We actually have a blockchain-based international payment system that's running on 4 of our corridors. Brazil, Mexico, UK, Spain. But it'll be on all 10 soon. Instant transfers at very, very tight spreads, 30 basis points. It's a nice user experience. I use it myself. I sent money to the United States, It's available same day. Fantastic. And at a guaranteed rate. Okay. And then in April of this year, Santander Executive Chair Anna Boten said OnePayFX is now powering more than half of Santander Group's FX payments, which was, of course, cited in the previous article. With this new initiative in place, we're actually covering 50% of all FX payments that the Santander Group does annually. Right, so same quote right there. So as far as the corridors, look, here's what I keep going back to. Consider that Ripple has announced they now have the recent announcement was over 300 customers, right? Yeah, it was over 300 customers, and then 24 of those customers are utilizing XRP for on-demand liquidity. Well, why aren't more doing that? Well, it goes back to this. So they're expanding their use of RippleNet. This is exactly what's happening, brand new corridors. But the thing is, the rest of the infrastructure is not really in place. I mean, you could even think about Brazil was recently cited during Swell as one of the latest corridors that will be utilized with on-demand liquidity, meaning, of course, again, XRP utilization, XRP being used as a bridge currency. But the problem is that the rest of the market makers, they're not in place in these corridors by and large. Most of them, it's just not. It takes a lot to build this stuff out and then to ensure regulatory compliance with all ends of this. And so that's all that's happening here. But you are seeing the expansion of these corridors utilizing on-demand liquidity. And as that happens, I think that by and large, you'll find that those actors that are participating within those corridors, it's not going to take too long for word to spread. As competition increases, it's not going to take much time for others to jump on. And then you can imagine, of course, what that ultimately does for liquidity. And as liquidity increases, and then look, by the way, this is what I'm about to say. It's true for crypto, but it's true for stocks in general. As volumes increase, that catches people's attention. And that what happens when more attention is brought to that? Well, more money comes in and more speculators. And so I think that could bode well for XRP investors. Of course, not financial advice because I don't have a financial background. I'm just an XRP community member, everyday guy. I just happen to run a YouTube channel because it's my most favoritist hobby I've ever had. That's pretty much it, though. But this, again, it's all being built out, and so don't look at this headline and then read that XRP is not yet being used and being like, this is nothing. No, this is something. This is definitely something, and this is big, and it's going to expand. And XRP is absolutely. I'm confident. Anywhere there's friction, and XRP can fundamentally and serve a purpose given its actual utility, there will be adoption. I am highly confident of that. So to me, this is all very cool stuff here anyway. But let me go ahead and hop into this. Now there's a tweet from XRP Veteran at XRP_veteran that I just came across in my newsfeed. I just wanted to talk about it real briefly. I made a video recently on the topic of this, and so it was a retweet from XRP Veteran, and he wrote, "Did he just say ODL, on-demand liquidity?" And those words weren't uttered in this video clip, but conceptually, I understand what he was saying. Hey, is what he's talking about is this on-demand liquidity? And no. And so the topic had to do with BRICS nations setting up payment network, cutting out the West. Okay, and so. There are some people, and I've actually seen other YouTubers out there, they just have different opinions of me, and that's fine. I'm just going to share with you mine and make it very clear. There's this whole concept of the BRICS nations, and can I remember what all of them are now? I know R is Russia, I got that one down. S is for South Africa, C is China, I is India, B, is that Brazil? I think it's Brazil. I think that's what they all stand for. That's what BRICS stand for. I just did it out of order there as it came to me. But there was a piece that I covered recently, and it was on the topic of those, all those included within BRICS, all those nations, utilizing their own cryptocurrency. And it was an interesting story, and it was the idea of just having much faster settlement, near instant, right? And it would be a closed network. That's what it was. And they said that they wanted to make their own cryptocurrency, and the way it was described, of course, it would be a stable coin, which clearly is not XRP. And to me, in reading all of the coverage of this, it couldn't be more clear that's the case. All it is, because again, if you think about it, if it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, I hope I'm remembering that correctly, it's just those five. That's a closed network, my friends. Like that's absolutely what it is, and it was described as a stable coin. The way that it was described, to me, it is a stable coin. And so if anybody's out there, stating that XRP is going to be used for this, I respectfully disagree. I think that there's no evidence for this. But my point that I made in the video when I covered this is that since it's a closed network, it can't interoperate with other networks. or just other individual banks and remittance companies that aren't part of that network that aren't using that stablecoin. And so you still need some sort of digital asset, XRP, in order to interoperate. And there will only be so many of these closed networks. Some of them will take hold, and some of them for their own internal reasons, because everybody has different motives for different things in life, and maybe we won't even know what all of them are in every single case. But some of these stable coins will take hold in place where XRP could have otherwise been used, but it's not going to be rampant, because really what's happening here, and I cited this too, it's Brad Garlinghouse. He calls this idea of utilizing essentially bank coins, stable coins, whatever you want to call them, he calls that concept deeply misguided. And so to me, no, this is not on-demand liquidity that they're talking about. They're talking about a stablecoin backed by fiat currencies. That's it. So I just want to share my opinion. If you think that I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine. And if you got sources I'm unaware of to prove your point or make your case, I'm open-minded. I'm just telling you I've seen nothing along those lines. So I just wanted to kind of mention that in this video real quick. All right, last piece in this video. Binance CEO race towards Bitcoin and crypto adoption underway. CZ, the CEO of Binance, a leading cryptocurrency exchange, says institutional interest in Bitcoin and other digital assets is on the rise. CZ also says that an increasing number of people are adopting crypto assets. And here's what he said in a recent Bloomberg interview. We're definitely seeing a lot of institutional interest picking up. I think the regulatory uncertainty is still affecting some countries, but there's definitely a race towards crypto adoption now. Binance is working with a number of governments. We've signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Ukraine, which involves using them on developing regulatory frameworks. And then he continued, we are working very closely with the MAS, Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is one of the regulatory bodies in the Asian country. We work with a number of other regulatory bodies around the world, so I think things are improving very quickly. And I love highlighting stuff like this because from an institutional perspective, I think it's going to be necessary to a large degree in order to have substantial volume increase within this asset class. I think it's just a matter of time, and there will be more everyday speculators coming in too. It's just that the asset class is young and it's scary to some people, and it's not really easy to jump in necessarily. It's getting easier as infrastructure is built out, but I'll tell you, when I jumped in 2017, not too long ago, it was not easy to get money into the system, even if you wanted to purchase cryptocurrencies. Anyway, commenting on Chinese President Xi Jinping's seemingly positive statements regarding blockchain, CZ says that he believes China will invest heavily in platforms using distributed ledger technologies. He also mentions that other countries will follow in China's footsteps by implementing blockchain-powered solutions. So, as I say, all good things in time, my friends. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed your stay. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!